Hello. Welcome to the My Amazon Guy PPC AMA. So ask me or ask us anything. This week, I have Ritu Java on the podcast with me. So she is the CEO of PPC Ninja, which is an Amazon advertising software. But I believe you also do your Walmart advertising, Google ads, and DSP and that kind of thing as well. So I will let you intro PPC Ninja. Just as a reminder, so we do this podcast every week at 12 Eastern. Next week, we will not be doing the PPC AMA just because of the 4th of July holiday. So just so you know what to expect there. But yeah, without further ado, and I'm Marissa Linzey, just hello. I'm an account director at My Amazon Guy. And I will turn it over to Ritu to tell a bit about PPC Ninja.
Yeah. Hey, Marissa. Very happy to be here. So yeah, my name is Ritu Java, and I'm the CEO of PPC Ninja. We're a North American company, but we have our team, remote and everywhere in the world. And it's been really an interesting time with the pandemic, making all of this possible. And we've just seen such a growth with, people wanting to do a lot with online and e-commerce and stuff like that. So it's a pretty good time to be, in this space. So a little bit about us. So we are a software and services company for Amazon advertising. We do, like you mentioned, Amazon, of course, at the core, Amazon PPC at the core, but we also do DSP, we do Walmart and Google ads. And so we kind of try to support our customers with like the entire ecosystem wherever we can. And our software is also available for kind of self-serve. So anybody who is very proficient in their PPC can use our software to manage it. It's really great for agencies and PPC managers. And it's, I would say it's pretty nifty in the way it's been designed. It's not like an AI solution that is like a one button setup kind of thing, but it really is great for agencies who want to see their numbers and they don't want a black box to take over. So it's it kind of falls in that sweet spot between an improved Excel experience and AI fully automated. So it's in the middle, which I'd like to clarify it because people come in with expectations, and I just want to explain how this can be the thing for you or not for you. So that's a little bit about PPC Ninja.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think it's, important to make that clarification because I think people, do come in with kind of their own, ideas about like automation and what that means.
Yes.
So there is definitely still a personal touch needed, I think, for advertising and,
Yes, that's what, we've always been on the side of, agencies who want to see their data and be able to control it rather than, a software that just does it for them. Because I don't think agencies feel satisfied that way. So it's really, we really designed it for the agency. And of course, larger brands who have like internal teams that manage their PPC, they really want to see their data in a spreadsheet format, in a format that, they can control things in bulk and very, very fast. So I think it's ideal for that person if it's you.
For sure. Okay. So, what we'll do is we will run through some questions. So I'll put them up on the screen for us. I'll allow you to answer. We'll kind of go from there. So first one is going to be from a longtime viewer, Jeffrey. So regarding a high number of impressions with no clicks, at what point, so time period or metric percent, do you decide that you are either targeting wrong or need to change price or change domain image?
Right. Yeah, I would ask Jeffrey, what do you consider a high number of impressions? Like every category would have its own kind of threshold. And I don't think it's nice to kind of say, that the threshold is X, Y, or Z, because in my mind, it's like, it depends, right? It also depends on what ad type you're using. So some ad types will give you more impressions. For example, a sponsored product ad that's got a top of search multiplier on it, it will give you more impressions than, let's say, a sponsored product ad with let's say, a product pages bid multiplier on it. So it depends so much on the setting that you almost want to, customize your your decision based on what you're seeing in different places. At the end of the day, we like to drill down and find those things that are actually working and double down on those. And the things that are not working, we use that as input to kind of, change our strategy if needed. If top of search is not the one that's generating sales, is some other placement generating sales? Like looking at the data from so many different ways and angles to decide whether something is worth pushing in a particular place. I wouldn't say that the goal is to have high impression. I would say the goal is to have conversions, and those conversions need to be a high converting rate. So whatever keywords you put out there, not every keyword is going to be one, because you're going to, it's like, like multiple horses in a race. You're going to release them and see which ones move ahead and which ones maybe don't. And so you cannot win every single keyword, but you can find the ones that are your winners and then bet on those. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question. It's a little bit of an indirect response, but feel free to ask a follow-up question, Jeffrey. As we talk, we can discuss that.
Definitely. And then one more. So can you tell how you calculate trending ACoS and the timeframes you work with?
Yeah. So actually, Jeffrey's probably watched one of my videos, because trending ACoS is a term that we coined at PPC Ninja. And this is the calculation that the next click results in a sale. So for example, if you have a keyword that has like 17 clicks and 0 sales, you might be tempted to think, oh, this is a bad keyword, just kill it, right? However, the trending ACoS at that point is what helps us decide whether it should be killed at that point, or should you keep going on it. For example, if your CPCs on that keyword are extremely low and your price point is extremely high, well, then the amount of spend divided by the amount of sale is going to be a very low number. And so you can keep going on that keyword because it looks like it's getting some attention, right? So the trending ACoS is calculated by assuming that the next click results in a sale. So you calculate the average CPC, multiply it by those many clicks, you get the spend, you divide it by the average order value or the sale price of that product, and boom, you get an ACoS, which Amazon will not give you, right? They will not tell you the trending ACoS. They will only tell you an ACoS when you have the sale, right? Till that point, it's just clicks, 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 clicks. And it's hard for most people to see that there is a accruing debt almost that'll only hit them when the first sale happens, right? So till that point, you're blind. You're literally flying blind, and you're just reacting to number of clicks, which is absolutely the wrong way to decide whether something is a good keyword or a bad keyword. On the other hand, another keyword could have just accumulated 6 clicks, which might fly under the radar as perfectly fine. Oh, only 6 clicks, harmless. However, the trending ACoS on that could be 25%, 30%, because each click was worth a lot more. CPC was higher. And so you've already accumulated enough spend so that no matter when you have your next sale, it's going to be unprofitable, right? So at that point, we decide to kind of lower our bids. Now, in order to reply to the second part of Jeffrey's question, which is what is the time frame that you work with, that is totally dependent on each keyword. And actually, our software does what is called a data sufficiency model, and we look back to the last bid change or the last sale date to find out how many clicks have happened since then. And that becomes our trigger. So it's going to be variable for every single keyword. It's a different time period. Some keywords are just slow, so they take lots and lots of time. So we don't look at time sufficiency, we look at data sufficiency. So I hope that answers your question, Jeffrey.
Yeah, and that calculation, that makes a lot of sense. I know when I'm auditing, client accounts here at my Amazon guy, number one thing I always look at is, your first instinct is to sort by ACoS, right, for whatever time period you're kind of working with. But I find that doesn't really, tell you a whole lot when you haven't made a sale yet, right? Like that
Yes.
It's a few dashes and it doesn't really give you a number until after, you've already made a sale, and that number can be really high depending, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that calculation really takes into consideration like the whole context, right? So with spend, and also, CPC and everything like that.
Right. Yeah.
Make a more informed decision, right? So you're not just kind of ignoring the spend or you're taking into consideration like, what that means as far as
Exactly.
itself.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And then a LinkedIn question from Pratik. What strategy should I follow for out of stock products when they're back in stock after 2 months?
Right. Yeah.
So I think,
Yeah, it's
as
a
it
good
really,
one.
yeah.
It happens so often, right, Pratik? This is like so common for something to go out of stock and then people struggle. Right after that is a huge struggle. It's an uphill battle almost to get something that was working to now start moving again. So I would say give it your best shot with, all guns blazing. For example, you want to definitely have aggressive coupons running after you're back in stock proactively. Like don't wait and watch and see what happens. Just start with aggressive coupons and aggressive PPC, your bid multipliers, etc. Just have them be on the moment you come back in stock, so that you don't leave the algorithm guessing about what the state of this particular product is. And the reason why you need to do that is because there's learning and unlearning happening, right? So first Amazon learned that this was a great product, and then it went out of stock. It's like dead, right? So now you're coming back. And so there's averages that Amazon will definitely take into consideration, like last 7 days, last 14 days, last 360, whatever. They have multiple look back periods to determine how good of a product it is. So if your product was very strong and had a history for a very long time, then chances are you will be able to get back and bounce back right back to where you were. But if your sales to start with were kind of not so great and you were kind of in low numbers, then it will be an uphill struggle and task. Now, it doesn't mean that you have zero chance. You might have chances to kind of get back to the same level, and sometimes even better than that. But you've got to make all those efforts to actually push, and it's almost like an AED. You want to revive it out of its dead state and do whatever you can to help Amazon learn that very quickly and keep it that way.
Do you think that for something that's been out of stock like that long, that they should create just like new campaigns and start over, or is it still worth it to have that kind of history attached to the campaigns from before?
Yeah, I believe in history. Everything has history, and I would just work with the existing campaigns, not try to create new ones. Now, if all your efforts fail and then you have nothing else to do, then maybe you can try something new and try new campaigns, try anything, But I would give first priority to something that's proven itself, and there's history in there that Amazon can refer back to. Yeah, use the campaigns that you already have, but just tweak it a little bit to make it kind of more, you increase your visibility a little bit more.
For sure. Another one from Jeffrey. So aside from comparing impressions to bids, what other metrics do you compare with impressions?
Impression drop-offs are probably the biggest ones. Like, for example, impressions were great at one point and then something happened and then they dropped off the cliff. Looking at those sorts of things to detect anomalies is another kind of interesting one. Inside of PPC Ninja, we have an anomaly detection tool, which basically looks at this. Like, it'll go back in history and see, okay, what was the 7-day moving average of these keywords with respect to these different parameters like impressions, sales, and so on. What was the 90-day moving average? And then whenever the 7-day moving average exceeds the 90-day moving average, or drops below the 90-day moving average, then we know that there's some sort of anomaly in the making, and then you start watching that. So it's not easy for human eyes to detect those anomalies, and it's kind of probably your best bet would be to look at trend lines. So if you have some way of getting like data streams of impressions out into some sort of trend line analysis tool, like I don't know, even any kind of business intelligence tool would have trend lines for over time. Or if you want to just look at it visually and see like how has it dropped off. So I would say any kind of like peaks and troughs would be good ones to check. Another thing you could check is, so your question is, aside from comparing impressions to bids, what other metrics do you compare it with? Yeah, that's an interesting question. Placements, I would say look at placements, like which placements are giving you the best impressions. Because sometimes a product and the keyword combination does better at top of search, whereas sometimes that combination does better on product pages. So wherever you're seeing like a better result, go there. Look for something that is working and double down on that. Those were the two that came to mind.
What would you consider to be like an anomaly? So would that be like a viral event happening? So like if you have like a video that goes viral on like TikTok or something, or what would kind of be like a reverse anomaly for like poor performance, I guess?
Great question. Actually, I've seen two types of anomalies. One that we generate ourselves. We create those anomalies ourselves, believe it or not, by touching the bids, right? So sometimes it's human-made anomalies that you just observe and say, okay, this is what I did, this is what I got. The second one is a real anomaly, which is something that exists externally, some factor that caused you to lose, and then your software maybe accelerated the kind of the downfall of that keyword. Because let's say you had some sort of event outside where your competitors were running some sort of lightning deal. Let's 2 or 3 competitors were simultaneously running lightning deals all at once, and that impacted your impressions, your click-through rate, your sales. And so the software, whatever software you're using, is watching that and is maybe oblivious to anything else on the external that caused that sort of drop. And you're getting like a poor conversion rate, you're getting poor ACoS, and then your software kind of thinks, oh, bid needs to be dropped, so you drop the bid. So that's something that could be either triggered externally, or just you, when you're optimizing your bids, could unintentionally trigger an anomaly. Just to give you an example, each bid is it's interesting that Amazon has one bid for 3 placements, right? The same bid applies to rest of search. Same bid applies to product pages and top of search, right? So when you change your bids up and down, there's a huge possibility that you're actually switching bands. Like you're now competing with another league of competitors who are operating at a higher bid, for example. So let's say you were doing perfectly fine in rest of search, and then you increased your bid just a little bit, or maybe substantially even, thinking that, oh, this is doing great, let's move it up. So you did that, and then now your bids are qualified to be in the top of search area, but you have competitors that are bidding even higher than you. So you're now suddenly having to deal with a different situation in a different band. So that's also sometimes something that causes a spike in your ACoS because now you're paying a lot more and maybe your conversion rate is still almost the same, which means it translates to a higher ACoS. So that sort of stuff is also not uncommon. And so that's why a lot of softwares will maybe introduce some sort of jitter or try to test up and down quite a bit till they converge on a stability situation, right? So I would say the anomalous behavior can be triggered by just increasing your bid or decreasing it by just a few cents. That's all it needs to move bands, right? So that would be my response to that.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I wouldn't consider like the internal kind of changes like, that you're making yourself as an anomaly. But I think that's a good, example as far as like how even like small changes can affect that. Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to give a reminder. So we do have a hard stop at 1 o'clock today, Eastern. So if you do have questions, make sure to get them in now. Thank you. We try to be, respectful of Ritu's time, but also, everybody's. So next question, I'm going to go to Zahir. Hello. What to do when clicks on keyword are extremely high, like $6 per click or $8 per click? How to get ourselves rank on potential keywords, and then if there's no relevant keyword with low bids?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. If you're finding that you're, let's say, in a supplements category or something like that, where I'm assuming this might be because of just the high CPCs in that category, it becomes pretty challenging to find the right keywords. And a little bit of it is, shifting your mindset from ACoS to TACoS. Like, are you actually establishing yourselves as relevant for certain keywords? And then is that paying off in the long run or through your total sales going up? So I would say look at the right metric in this case. It's not just about winning on PPC, but it's winning overall, right? That would be one thought there. And second is you could instead of focusing just on keywords, I would start focusing on product targeting because that might be cheaper, right? You might bid $6 for a click on top of search through a keyword, but then you might bid much lower if you're just following a competitor, right? Competitor targeting can actually get you top of search placements, believe it or not. It's true because I'll tell you how you can confirm that. If you are doing an ASIN, a pure ASIN targeting ad, you will notice that in your placements, you will see 3 placements that have performance data. You will see top of search placement, you will see product pages placement, and you will see rest of search placement. So that basically tells me that even when you're doing product targeting, you can still show up on top of search. So I would say for the time period when you're still trying to establish relevancy for certain keywords, you can establish that relevancy through an indirect means, which is through your competitors. You latch on to their listing or their appearances, and in that manner, if you do get a couple of conversions, assuming that you have a good product and you have a good offer, then you are training the algorithm even by association with other products. So you can try that. You can also try category targeting, but keep your bids low because that tends to be pretty broad and you may not get a very high kind of conversion rate. You might be, you might be on the lower side and your ACoS might shoot up if you keep the bids very high on category targeting ads.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then a Facebook question from Abdul. So is running PPC worth it without EBC, so an ACoS content in the listing, and without brand registry? So, realistically, how far can you push PPC without those design elements?
Yeah, great question, Abdul. I think that you don't have a choice actually without PPC. Whether you have EBC or not, whether you have brand registry or not, like that's probably the only way right now to kind of show up. So I would say you still run it, but you definitely work on getting the EBC, right? Work on getting your brand registry as soon as possible so that you can get better conversions rates. So I think the biggest issue with not having EBC or brand registry is that number one, your conversion rates will be slightly lower. Your page conversion would be much lower if you don't have all the glamorous photos and the high kind of rich, rich content. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't convert. I've seen plenty of listings that that convert just fine even without EPC. But EPC can enhance your brand image, and it can help buyers make an informed decision if you have more content there that you can share. Now, without brand registry, you'll be severely limited to the number of ads you can run. So you can only run sponsored product ads and maybe one or two sponsored display ads, but not brands. So sponsored brand ads are actually essential, I would say, in making sure that your PPC is touching all the placements. Like, it's not just about getting brand awareness. I would use sponsored brand ads even for bottom of funnel conversions based on like how you set it up. And so having an urgency about setting up your brand, getting the brand registered is kind of a healthy one to kind of go after, so that you can get the full experience, and but you can still run ads without that.
Do you, like, in your opinion, think that more visual ads have like a better impact, like a headline ad, at the top of search and that kind of thing? Do you find that even though maybe those are a little bit more expensive to run, they have kind of a better impact?
I think that the sponsored brand ads are highly underutilized. They take up like the entire space on top of search results. They are the most prominent, they are most visible right on the top. Now, most people haven't figured out the whole mechanism of making sponsored brands work. I'll tell you why, because it is very complicated, right? Setting up a sponsored product ads takes no time. Sponsored brand ads, on the other hand, require setup. First of all, you need to think about a headline, you need to think about the right image, you need to think of 3 products to pick, what landing page, whether it should be product list page, should it be a storefront landing page. So there's a lot of moving parts just to set that up. But then there's also additional hassles when you're trying to optimize, right? Because many of these the performance data that comes from sponsored brand ads is not giving you thumbnails of what image was showing there, right? So you're basically flying blind, almost half blind, because you don't have the full picture, and you can't do things at scale without actually creating some sort of spreadsheet where you've kept track of, like, okay, this ad has this headline and it has this image and this is the landing page, and so now I know why my this keyword isn't working. You can't do that. You're basically just doing very automatic kind of mechanical responses to the bids, and that's it. That's what most people do. So that's why most people fail with sponsored brand ads. If they had a better mechanism of like making all this information easier to digest and process quickly, I'm sure a lot more people would be running sponsored brand ads. But then that's your opportunity, right? If other people aren't doing it, that means you can do it and you can still get some results. By and large, yes, I mean, sponsored brands tend to be a little bit more expensive, but the returns can also be much better. And so I generally use sponsored brands for bottom of funnel conversions, even though Amazon might want you to believe that sponsored brands are for top of funnel and for brand building. It's not just for that. It is also for making the conversions happen. It's all about how you set up your landing pages and how you set up the ad itself in the first place.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I know you mentioned like landing pages. So that could be, brand store, or it could be, the actual listing itself. So I guess, like, what are the best practices for optimizing a PPC landing page, or choosing like from one or the other, right? Like which one you
Yeah.
use.
Honestly, if your focus is conversions and ROAS, then the product list page does just fine, because it has all the information that a shopper needs to make a quick decision. So when you land people into a product list page, it has, it has all the images, it's got the title, it's got the bullet points, it's got the star rating, it's got the price, every information they need to make a decision, like on the spot, right? And it also has a buy button, right? You can do that. So I would say test both, but for most practical purposes, product list page, even though it might appear boring or whatever, it's just fine. It works, so it's fine. Now, for people who want more custom messaging, for example, you need to explain a little bit more about your product before they are convinced or whatever. Then there's no harm in doing storefronts with like a video explainer video at the top, followed by the products that are being used in the video. That's the format that we've been using. It works really well. Now, one thing that people make a mistake on is that they do not use layouts that allow shoppers to make quick buying decisions. So for some reason, the buy box is missing, or the button to add to cart is missing, or even to see more options, that's missing in the storefront layout. For a lot of cases that I've seen, those storefront front pages are not gonna convert so well, because you're adding friction to the buying process. You want to eliminate friction. You want to make it easy for people to come to a storefront and then just click on the button and add to cart, right? So if you can minimize that and not be too fancy about the layout, like some people have layouts where there's an image showing with hot spots where people can then click and get information about that. Yeah, that hotspot clicking thing is really good for a certain scenario, and that scenario might be, I think they've copied that from Instagram or Pinterest, where it's like shop the look, where there's a woman wearing something and she's got different things in her hands, and then you can hotspot it and
which one, which item.
Yeah, right. So that makes sense in that case, when you have like a put together photo shoot with someone, a model using different products, and then you can hotspot and say, okay, this is what I want, this is what I like. But for most practical purposes, that's not useful. That's just not useful for your product. If you have the product hero image and the details, that's good enough. People should just be able to buy it, right? Why would you delay that process of purchase by introducing distraction and more clicks? So reduce the number of clicks is what I would say. That's the most important kind of best practice for storefront design.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And then a question from Facebook users. So what are the emerging trends and changes in Amazon PPC, and how can I adapt my strategies to stay ahead in a competitive landscape?
I would say, this has been true forever, but you have to find those fishing ponds where others are not looking, right? You've got to find gaps. You've got to find low-hanging fruit where other people are not focusing their attention. Right now, where is everybody focusing their attention? Everybody's focusing their attention on sponsored product keyword targeting. That's the combination that people are most excited about. There's the most content about it on, in every place. So that's what you learn, and that's what you think that you should be focusing on. Well, yes, that is very, very important. You need to be focusing on keywords. You need to be focusing on your sponsored product ads, but that's not the only way. There's so many other ad types that Amazon is showing us and giving us an opportunity to, place ourselves in many, many different areas. So that's what I would say. Try to look for all the other tactics or strategies that are, maybe hard for other people to do, right? Like I was saying, sponsored brands, they are hard to put together and to manage over a period of time. Sponsored video, it's hard for people to do it, right? But that's your opportunity. So I would look for those sorts of available opportunities that you can jump in on. Another thing to note is that whenever Amazon comes up with like some sort of new beta, you want to get on it fast, because it's going to give you a little bit of advantage in terms of CPCs just for a little bit, and then it's going to get very expensive when everybody hears about it and everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Then it's going to be super expensive. It happened with video, right? It happened like 2 years ago. Video ads were like so cheap. Now, not anymore, right? So if you can get on new ad types and test them out real quick, like right now there's a new ad type, sponsored display video. Some people have found success, some people haven't. So it's good to check it out, put some money behind it and test it out for sure, and see what's working for you.
Do you think, I know video ads and stuff like that can be intimidating. Do you think that you need to be a designer or have any kind of like design, experience to really like create those ads, or is it, more accessible than, maybe people think?
Right. Yeah. I would say anything is more accessible than people think. The video ads creation is actually quite within reach. Now with AI, generative AI, you can actually generate images fairly easily. And, you can ask Midjourney or whatever to create like backgrounds that go with your products. You need to put like 3 or 4 of them in a sequence, and there you have a video ad, right? You can make this in Canva and Biteable. There's so many tools out there that can help you generate like quick and easy ads. You can also use your phone, if you have the product with you, and just use some of the phone apps that can, create like a catchy video. Or sometimes even user generated content works quite well as a video ad. So it doesn't have to be super polished. It's just testing a few things out and seeing what works in your category. I think it's much more within reach than people think.
And speaking of AI, we have AI King, John Aspinall, who works with me at My Amazon Guy. So how important does merchandising, so CTR for hero image, matter for a PPC expert like yourself? So yeah, he says, me, I love merchandising.
That's an interesting question. I would love for John to explain a little bit more. Like, I'm not getting the question, so if you can just expound upon it a little bit, like what exactly do you mean by that? So you're saying CTR. Let me try to attempt, a response, while John, if you can just type in a little more detail. You're saying click-through rate for the hero image. I mean, that's the most important thing. The first image is the most important thing that gets people, and you want to make it as, first of all, high quality as possible. Second, you want to put all the details that will help them make a decision, like sooner rather than later. And then there's also that thing of, should I include aspects of what that product supports, whether it is within terms of service or not, right? That sort of thing. So, for example, there's a baby stroller, or should the baby be in it or not? I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe John, I'm not answering your question directly, but I'm just I'm just trying to talk about the hero image for just a sec. I think people are quite afraid of the main image violating their any kind of terms of service. But for the most part, people have seen that if you have humans in that, or if there is something that is connected to something, and that something that you're connecting is also visible on the photo, it's fine if Amazon puts it down. It's not such a huge penalty. You can always say, okay, this doesn't work, try something else, right?
Yeah.
And I know PickFu has done a bunch of tests, and they've seen that when there is like the setting where the product will be used, also part of the hero image, it makes a lot of difference in someone making the buying choices. So yeah, there's actually quite a bit. You might want to just refer to the PickFu blog, because they have a lot of information about their main image, and also using their huge kind of group of people to say which one is better and why.
On that same kind of note, would you recommend doing A/B tests on a main image, while you're running PPC ads, or does it kind of make more sense to figure out your main image first before, enabling ads and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I would say A/B testing is super important, and you should be running A/B tests all the time. That Amazon allows you to do this in a controlled manner using their own tools, right? And yeah, of course, the A/B tests do need like one control variable that you're touching and nothing else. But like PPC is an ongoing thing. I don't think it's gonna like affect things so much. I would just say, just do it. Even though it's not a perfect test, it is better than nothing, right? So A/B tests are definitely a good idea to always keep trying.
For sure. And we have a question from Dylan Heathcote. So he's also from My Amazon Guy. He's a brand manager. Do you check that exact match keywords are used in PPC are also in the copy, alt text, or A+ crawlable text? So are you connecting organic SEO with your sponsored?
Yeah, I think Stephen Pope is the biggest proponent of this. I think he's absolutely on. He's absolutely correct that your SEO matters a lot, right? So when you align your PPC with your SEO, you're creating a positive flywheel effect. So definitely go ahead and do that, right? When you create your first list of keywords to target, you want to pick the ones that have the best kind of SEO ranking juice, and you put it in the right places. You have to do that. And then on an ongoing basis also, maybe you can do it like a month, once a month, or whatever frequency works for you, checking for those keywords that are actually now converting on PPC that you can add back to your listing. A third new way of doing it is through search query performance, which is also like this new big kind of gold mine of information that Amazon has made available. And it's surprising. Like every time I look at search query performance, it gives me new ideas. I'm like, oh my goodness, why aren't we targeting this? And why are we targeting that? So there's a lot of places where you can find keywords to actually go after. And then the alt text, etc., are really, really good places to add those long tail keywords in.
I know I did a little research on PPC Ninja, so I know your program kind of focuses more on long-tailed keywords and optimizing for those. Can you explain that a little bit and how you're able to do that?
Yeah, so the long tail keywords, generally are slow movers, right? Long tail keywords are not going to generate a ton of impressions right away. They're the things that you put on the side and you wait patiently for them to get picked up. With long tail keywords, if they accrue, let's say even 8 or 9 or 10 clicks in the time period that people are looking, they might be tempted to kill that keyword quick, because they're like, okay, 8 clicks, no sales, killed, right? And that's the thing we talked about in the beginning when we were talking about like zero sales, clicks and no sales. So that's the mechanism we use. We use trending ACoS to figure out whether it's worth it to keep going or not. So that way, you're not evaluating keywords based on fixed time periods, like 14 days ago or like 14 days look back. We're not looking at it that way. We're looking at it more holistically and saying, okay, at this point, we're still trending at only like 10% ACoS since the last sale. I think we're fine. We can keep going. So we don't prematurely kill keywords that haven't turned rogue yet. Once they turn rogue, then yes, you want to start taking action and bringing them down. But then the trending ACoS is the most important concept that goes hand in hand with protecting the long tail, right? So that's how we kind of do it with our software.
And then if you have a well-converting keyword that you harvested from an auto campaign and then move it to an exact match campaign, find that it converts and only spends, so it no longer converts, only spends. So what do you do in that kind of scenario? Do you, I guess, like keep the auto campaign and in favor of the exact match, or is this just kind of like a timing issue?
That's a great question. And this actually brings up a much larger topic of discussion, which is how does the algorithm work in the first place, right? So most of us we want to use logic to explain Amazon's algorithm, and sometimes that algorithm does not follow all the logic that we have kind of assumed or presumed. So most people will do this. They will start an auto campaign and find keywords to extract and put them into new campaigns, and then they also kill that keyword in the auto campaign, which I think is a mistake, because if it's coming through and giving you sales, you probably don't want to kill it, right? Because there is no guarantee that a keyword that you pick up from auto is actually going to do well in a new campaign. It's almost like saying that your keyword karma doesn't follow it around. It's not like just because it worked here, it's going to work everywhere. It's always going to work. No, all of those statements are incorrect. You have to keep trying. Like if something doesn't work in a new campaign, one of the reasons could be that you had placed it in a very high bid situation, assuming that this is a good keyword. You probably went aggressive on it, and that might have changed the dynamic of where this keyword is now showing up, or where does the ad for this keyword show up. Is it more on top of search, product pages, rest of search? So there's a lot of those combinations that could be at play with this with the keyword in a new campaign. And you cannot replicate everything about the auto campaign into this new manual campaign. So you've got to switch strategies, after a while, and see, try something else, try a different placement modifier. And if nothing else works, keep try it in a different campaign. So what we generally do is if something is not working, we will actually pull that out and move that into new campaigns and try something different, rather than pull out something that is working and then kill it at the source. That method generally doesn't result in a good experience, because in the new campaign, it should at least exceed the amount of sales you were getting from the source. If not, it's still not picked up, right? And for the most part, it doesn't get picked up unless you bid really, really high and you kind of push it with all your might, and still it might not, right? So keep trying is what I would say. Try different strategies. It's an ongoing process. PPC is never a static game. It's a dynamic game.
For sure. And I know, so I'm trying to ask, all of our experts this. So Prime Day was announced for being July 11th and 12th this year. So what do you recommend as like a Prime Day strategy? I know here at My Amazon Guy, we tend to recommend, increasing, your advertising budget by about 20%. To accommodate for all the extra traffic that we tend to see during that time frame, in addition to, creating a discount of some type as well. Is that kind of in line with what you would recommend, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so with Prime Day, there's a few different strategies. So first of all, you have to understand what your goals are with Prime Day. Do you want to give deep discounts and be visible everywhere, or do you want to protect your bottom line and kind of just stay profitable, right? So depending on what your goals are, if you want visibility, then you have to do all of these things. You have to discount deeply because Prime Day is about the deals. It's about nothing else but the deals. Amazon has trained everybody that this is the day when they're going to pick up the lowest prices on the best products, right? So does your deal or does your coupon fall in that category or not? Or is it that you're likely half-assed going to be in the game, give like 10%, okay, let's do an extra 5 or whatever, and just give some sort of discount? Is it the best deal or not? If it's not, then chances are you might get a lot of traffic and a very high ACoS and very poor conversion rate. So you've got to pick what side you want to go, right? So that's one. The second thing is this year, Amazon is going to have additional tools for shoppers, right? And these are Alexa-based tools that will allow shoppers to set alerts when they find the best, when Alexa finds the best deals. So it's really, really, really all about deals. Don't be don't be under the illusion that people might just buy your product just because you have a 20% coupon on it. You have to really plan this thing. Now you might say, okay, of all my products, I have one that I want to push. The others, I am okay to kind of stay out of the Prime Day kind of rush. Let it pass, right? So for that kind of person or brand, you might want to actually have the strategy of increasing your budgets where it makes sense, which is on the products that you're actually discounting, and for the other products that you do not plan to participate in by not discounting or whatever, then you protect yourself and you actually lower your budgets. That's what we do for a lot of our clients who are not willing to go all in for certain products. Will actually lower their budgets, and that way we can protect them. Let the event pass, and then they're back to the normal kind of rates.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think that now that Prime Day has been announced, that sellers can expect to see kind of a decrease in sales leading up to it? I know that's something that we're kind of starting to see now, with our
Yes.
clients here.
Yeah, already, because now people will add stuff to their cart, but they won't buy because they will wait for the last day to see whichever gives them the best deal, and that's who they're going to go after. So expect to be in research mode. Like everybody's research antennas are up and they're saying, okay, I've got to pick the best, blah, blah, blah. So everybody's like researching and adding to their shopping carts, and they're not going to buy. And even if they do, there's going to be returns after Prime Day, right? Returns actually spike after Prime Day because people are like, okay, I bought it, but I actually didn't really need this. I got this other one, so I'm going to return it. So just keep in mind that this is an event that primarily profits Amazon, but for it will profit a lot of people who are actually willing to kind of use this as a means to kind of accelerate their visibility. And don't get me wrong, I love Prime Day for that reason. When people need that extra exposure, there's no other event like this. Like you'll get eyeballs like anything, but then you also want to give your deep discounts and make sure that you're the best offer on the market. Another mistake that people make on Prime Day is that they think this is the event to move or liquidate their slow moving inventory. Wrong. Never happens. I've tried it. I'm guilty. I've tried it so many times. Prime Day does not move your worst products. It only moves your best products. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think that's a good token of advice, because I have heard that as a strategy, and people are still only going to be interested in what they're interested in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then we have a question from Leo the Shiba Inu, little dog. I have a top ASIN with 80 PPC campaigns. Wow. We are launching 4 more ASINs as color variations under one parent ASIN. These colors will do 1/3 of our main ASINs. So how would you structure PPC for these new ASINs?
Okay. Yeah, first of all, the Leo the Shiba Inu, like I used to live in Japan, so just mentioning it. Okay, anyway, in terms of variations, like there's different strategies for advertising variations. Not all your variations are going to have a high click-through rate, because some variations look more attractive, but they're not the thing that people end up buying. So you've got to have some sort of idea of which of these uh, you know 3 additional or 4 additional ones that you add, which of these are actually going to have a high click-through rate. Because if your hero image can get people in the funnel and then you can convert them based on their choice, that's one way. The other way that people use is that they will pick the highest converting one and push that, and then kind of let the other ones just be discovered on the page, right? So that there's both ways you can go, but nothing can be determined unless you actually set up a test. And so the test could be like a catch-all where you put all of these ASINs in the same ad group. However you want to structure that, like you could have it either all in one ad group, or you could have 4 ad groups with one each. But in any case, you will allow Amazon to pick the one that they think has the highest chance of success. And then you watch it for a couple of weeks, and then you decide, okay, this ASIN has the highest click-through rate, this ASIN has the highest conversion rate. So find a combination that has both. If not, then prioritize maybe the click-through rate, because at least you get people into your funnel through that means. Just to give you a weird example, I'm very attracted to neon colors. So if a listing has like a bright, like even a bright pink or a bright neon, I'm like, oh my God, that looks so good. But end of the day, I end up buying boring black. Like, it happens a lot of the time. So that's why your click-through rate matters for people who are attracted to the concept of your product, but they may not eventually buy that. And that's pretty fine as well.
Yeah. And I mean, if they're all on the same page, do you necessarily have to like advertise like every single SKU? Like, is it enough for them to be, directed to the page itself and then be able to pick through, on their own?
Yeah, one fun one for you, Leo, is the sponsored brand headline ad, which actually, if you don't mind, I have a screenshot that I want to show you.
Yeah.
Okay, here, I'm going to share my screen. Present, share screen. Let's see, share window. Yeah, okay, here. So actually, I'm going to ask you a question, like what's common. Okay, it's showing now. Okay, so I'm going to show you 3 ads. I'm going to ask you what's the common kind of theme across all 3. So this is ad number 1, this is ad number 2, and this is ad number 3. Right. So I know this is not interactive, but what I want to say here is that, showing this left part as a image, but it has like 3 parts to it, you can actually make yourself look bigger than you actually are. So it's a visual hack, right? So if, let's say, you have 4 colors, you can have 1, 2, 3 colors, and then here you could repeat the 3, or maybe create a rainbow effect or whatever you want to catch the attention of your shoppers by showing that you have so many, so many products to pick from. This is just an image, but it's designed so that it has the 3 products visible side by side, and it gives you an illusion that there's 6 products being shown here, but actually just 3.
It's bigger than it is, and yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions before we got to wrap up. So from Maz, with regards to pricing strategy, is it smart to keep increasing and decreasing our product price every couple of days or a week to keep Amazon's algorithm on its toes and stay relevant?
Maz, I'm not a pricing expert actually. So, but I've heard Chad Rubin talk about it, and you can follow his company Prophecy, and they basically do pricing. They have an AI-based pricing algorithm that kind of creates that jitter till you get the best kind of pricing where other people are not competing with you, and you're giving the right signals to Amazon and so on. But I would like to say one thing about pricing. Uh, you know, there's this coupon thing that people generally don't try out very much, but they play with their pricing. They don't try coupons. Coupons is a great way of showing up with a badge, like an orange badge or a green badge or whatever, that can give you extra visibility. Believe it or not, people love coupons. When they see something has a discount on it, that has a different effect than you simply lowering the price, because they don't know what you lowered it from, unless you have strike through pricing, and that probably won't show up in the search results page. I'm not sure, they keep changing that. But having a coupon always, so if you have the ability to give even like $1 off, it's fine. Like, it doesn't, the amount does not matter. Like, I've tested, it does not matter how much the coupon should be. Even if it's just $1, as long as you get the badge, you get some extra eyeballs. And I have a feeling that Amazon also prioritizes coupons a lot more, and they give you higher placement, better visibility if you have that. So try that in addition to whatever pricing strategy you're trying to give Amazon, keep Amazon's algorithm on its toes.
Yeah. And, you do want to be careful with pricing too, because, if you're increasing the price too much, you're going to get price suppressed. Same thing with, even lowering the price, too much. If Amazon thinks that, you're trying to price gouge, or, you're trying to undercut, other sellers or anything like that. If you have, distributors or anything like that. So like the worst thing would be, during Prime Day to be price suppressed, right? So you do want to be careful, with this strategy as well. I've seen in my experience, at least.
Yeah.
And last question, and then we can, do our outro. So for a new Amazon seller, how does Prime Day affect buyers? So does Amazon give certain deals to them to accelerate buying behavior? So I think this is maybe touching a little bit on like the honeymoon period, and how Amazon does give preferential treatment to new sellers who launch a product for the first like 15 to 30 days. So do we see anything like that happen on Prime Day, or is maybe it, the best opportunity to launch a new product, during Prime Day even?
Yeah. So, Amazon has some sort of program for new launches on Prime Day. I'm not sure what the name is, but it's like Prime Launch or something like that. There's Launch with Prime or something like that, which is pretty expensive, honestly. But if you have access to that, then you can actually launch a product on Prime Day and get a ton of visibility, and that way kind of train the algorithm. It'll be a nice kind of addition to your honeymoon period. So you're layering in 2 things. Now, I don't come across very many cases like that, so I'm not the best person to advise you whether that's the right thing to do or not. But in theory, it sounds great. Like you have your your honeymoon period going, and then you give it an extra boost with like visibility. The only thing to watch out for is that all this might be like an artificial bubble that might burst as soon as Prime Day is over. Because if your product cannot sell for itself, and you start giving Amazon the other signals that the conversion rate is terrible, then you actually sink yourself further, which isn't good. So it's a little bit of a risk. But if you're confident that your product has got what it takes to kind of compete with existing sellers, and you also have like enough inventory to last Prime Day and beyond, then definitely go for that combined strategy. The only thing you don't want to do is run out of stock. That's terrible. So calibrate yourself. Yeah. You see the success, and then you see an out of stock, and then your product is dead. Like, you cannot revive it. Somebody else asked the question earlier about how to revive after being out of stock. Calibrate yourself based on all those factors.
Definitely. All right. Well, I think that about wraps up all of our questions. So thank you again for joining us, Ritu.
Absolutely.
Yeah, here's a nice handy dandy link to PPC Ninja. So, if you guys want to go check out PPC Ninja and, see all the services that they provide, whether it's for, Walmart, Amazon, DSP, Google Ads, anything like that. As a reminder, we have the ASIN review tomorrow with John Aspinall, who asked a question on this podcast today. So you can send him any ASIN, and he will do a deep dive into it tomorrow, also at 12 p.m. Eastern. So, if you're having those impression problems or CTR problems with main image, John's a great resource for that. And then we also have the just general Amazon questions every Friday with Jason Mastromateo. And then he answers, really any kind of general questions. So not just relating to PPC, could be related to like catalog or troubleshooting or anything like that. And that is also at 12 Eastern on Fridays. So yeah, thank you again, Ritu.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
it was fun hanging out with you. Thank you so much, Marissa. And thanks, everybody. John, I'm going to attend your session tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye. Thanks, guys.